this video, we're going to explore how to create a drafting view from scratch and start using our annotation tools to create a detail. Revit does have a pretty nice library of 2D detail components to choose from, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is create a drafting view. Go to the View tab. On the Create panel, click the Drafting View button. For the name in all caps, let's call it Curb Detail. We can keep the scale at 1.5 inches equals a foot. We can always go back and change it later. Click OK. Now here we are with a blank slate. The next thing we need to do is go to the Annotate tab. On the Annotate tab, you're going to find all of our detailing tools. Let's just start drawing some lines. On the Detail panel, click the Detail Line button. On the Line Style panel, notice that we have a drop-down. Medium lines, MEP hidden, thin, and wide. Let's click Wide. Let's click the Rectangle button. Let's just draw a rectangle about 2 feet high and about 10 feet long. Then hit Escape a couple times. Zoom in on your detail. See, we have a rectangle, just like CAD. Right-click on the leftmost line and create similar. This time, instead of wide lines, let's go with thin lines. On the Draw panel, click your Pick Lines button. Let's give it an offset of 6 inches. Let's repeat that down here. Let's hit Escape a couple times. Right-click on the bottommost line and create similar. On the Draw panel, click your Pick Lines button. Let's switch to thin lines. Let's offset it 6 inches. Let's offset a line up. Notice that when we come into this line, you can see an alignment line that shows up. When I hover over this line and you see your alignment line going straight up, that's where your next line is going to be. Go ahead and pick this line going straight up. Hit Escape a couple times. Go to the Modify tab. On the Modify panel, click the Trim Extend to Corner button. We want to clean up this corner and this corner. To do that, we're going to select the lines that we want to keep. So pick this line, and then this line, and then this line, and then hit Escape a couple times. Next thing we're going to do is zoom in on this area here. And offset the hidden line in. On the Annotate tab, click Detail Line, get the drop down. Let's go to MEP Hidden. On the Draw panel, click your Pick Lines button. Let's offset that 1 inch. Hit Escape a couple times. Now let's bring in the Detail component, shall we? On the Detail panel, click the Component button. On the Mode panel, click Load Family. You always want detail items. Let's go to the Division 5 metals. Let's go to Common Work Results for metals, metal fastenings. Notice that we have an array of different metal fastenings. Let's grab a 325 bolts side. I'm going to place my bolt right here. I'm going to hit Escape. I'm going to select this side of the bolt, zoom in, I'm going to grab my little grip. I'm going to drag it out until I hit the inside face. I'm going to hit Escape. Zoom out. Select your bolt. Click your Copy button. Zoom in. Let's take a look at importing CAD. We'll first import an AutoCAD detail, then query its information, and that's will explode it. So to get started, let's go to the View tab. Let's click on Drafting View. For this drafting view, we'll call it Typical AHU with all caps. Let's set the scale at 12 inches equals a foot. The only reason I know that is because I know the scale of the detail. Welcome back to the world of AutoCAD. Click OK. Next thing to do is to go to the Insert tab. Let's click Import CAD. On the Import Instance panel, click the Query button. Select this horizontal line right here. Tell us what it is and the layer that it's on. We can delete it or hide it. Let's just click OK. Notice we're still in the mode. Go ahead and select the piece of text. Type as text, Layer level is GNO Lee. It's object style. Let's expand detail 101. Notice that all of our layers are in here. That came straight from AutoCAD. Even ones that are turned off. We can override our layers in Revit without exploding the detail. Click OK. One last thing we're going to do is we're going to blow this up. Go ahead and select your import. Notice that we have an explode icon. We can do one of two things. We can do a partial explode or a full explode. A partial explode explodes one level down, meaning if this item here was a block, and if this was a block, and if there's any blocks in here, it explodes the first level but retains all the blocks. If we do a full explode, everything's exploded, including all the internal blocks. Let's just go for it and do a full explode. Oh. If there's any 3D data or points, they can't be exploded. Only 2D data was exploded, which is fine. Now notice that we're fully exploded. Each line is in our detail, ready to be edited by you. Just skip a couple times. Notice now under our views, mechanical, we have our curve detail and our typical AHU. One we drew right inside of Revit, and the other one we used AutoCAD for assistance. There you have it. Now you know you don't have to throw away your old AutoCAD details in the recycle bin. Let's take a look at inserting views from another file. What we'll do in this video is use a master detail file you downloaded from the lynda.com site to import details and schedules. The first thing we need to do is go to the Insert tab. And instead of Load Family, this time we're going to do something a little different. We're going to click Insert from File, and we're going to insert Views from File. We're going to scroll to where we keep our file, click Open. Notice now we get a nice list of all the details that we can bring in. This one looks familiar. Let's just click on a few. I don't care which ones. And scroll down and choose all the drafting views that we want. Once you're satisfied, go ahead and click OK. It'll take a second. We're going to get duplicate types that show up, which is absolutely fine. Click OK. The way I organized my details was I have a coordination sub-discipline. When I drill into coordination, I drill into drafting views. All these drafting views have been created and brought into my model, ready to get dragged onto my sheet. They're all exploded, and they're all turned to text that Revit actually uses. It takes some time to make a standard detail library, but boy, do you save a lot of time in the long run. So I think that was pretty awesome, and think about that time you're going to save with this new workflow. All we need to do is create a new sheet and drag a view onto the sheet. Yeah, it's that easy. Let me show you. The first thing I want to do is go to Sprinkler, Floor Plan, 1 Sprinkler. I know that this probably won't fit on any normal sheet, but the great thing about Revit is we can reduce the scale with no problem at all. So instead of 1/8 of an inch equals a foot, let's reduce it down to 3/32 of an inch equals a foot. All that does is makes our annotations a little bit larger. Now what I want to do is I want to scroll down to Sheets All. Right-click on Sheets All, select New Sheet. We'll use the default title block that Revit provides. Click OK. Now we have a blank sheet. Let's scroll back up to 1 Sprinkler, select it. Let's drag it onto the sheet. Let's place it right about here. Perfect. Let's zoom in on the title block. Give us the name and the scale on which it is. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's scroll up and find callout of 1 Sprinkler. Let's go to the properties. Let's make sure the subdiscipline is set for Sprinkler. Let's drag callout of 1 Sprinkler onto our sheet. Let's put it right about here. Notice that it's pretty large. We can select it right here, and we can drop the scale down. Let's drop it down to 1/4 inch equals a foot. It offers some challenges, but that's fine. Go ahead and select your detail. Notice that it says Viewport, Viewport 1. You can do one of 2 things. You can select your detail viewport, or you can select the actual title block. Let's go ahead and select the viewport itself. Notice how we get little grips that show up. Go ahead and drag this in, and click off for the viewport. Select the viewport again. Let's move it up about here. Notice that Revit knows where it puts it. Let's go up to our detail. Let's right click and activate view. In Revit, you can work on the view while you're on the sheet, which is actually pretty cool. Many times, text needs to be stretched back up. Or, for example, if you don't want to see the crop region, we can come down to our view control toolbar and we can hide our crop region. We can tell Revit not to let it print too. Notice everything else is grayed out. When we're done working on the viewport, right click and deactivate the view. Now, this is a little too high. If we select the viewport itself and we try to move our view title, the whole viewport moves. Click off of it and select only the view title. Hover over it and move it straight down. Zoom out and escape a couple times. One more thing we'll do is we'll rename this view only on the sheet. Go ahead and select your viewport. Let's scroll down till we find title on sheet. With all caps, enlarged sprinkler plan. Click apply. Although it still says call out 1 sprinkler, we've renamed it to enlarged sprinkler plan. Moving ahead, let's zoom in on because of the fact there's no CTB or real scale to worry about, it seems like there's something missing. So let's take a look. What we want to do is print this sheet. Click the purple R drop down, click to print, then back up to print. You can also hit Control P. For the printer, we'll keep it Adobe PDF. Make it whatever printer you have installed on your computer. We can print the file. Of course, Adobe PDF would automatically do that. For the print range, we can either print the current window that we're looking at, visible portion of current window, which means you have to be zoomed in to a portion of the current window before you start the print dialog. My favorite is selected views and sheets. Go ahead and click selected views sheets. Now click the select button. Uncheck views. Notice that our sheets are showing up. You can go ahead and check them both on and hit OK. You may be asked if Revit wants to save this. Just say no. On your settings, click on the setup button. For the size, let's go ahead and select ANSI E. Hit replacement, always center it. The most important part is right here. Never fit it to page unless you know that you're not printing to scale. Zoom 100% means that you're printing the full scale. 50% means you're going to print a half-size set. Let's look at our options. Hide reference work planes. Let's hide unreferenced view tags. If you notice when we drag the detail onto a sheet, such as a callout, that annotation on the floor plan says what sheet number it is. If we have a section, which we've made quite a few of, but haven't put those sections on a sheet, Revit will hide those unreferenced view tags. We'll hide scope boxes and crop boundaries. Raster quality can be high. For colors, let's make sure black lines is selected. Once we click zoom, our paper placement changed. Let's go back to center. Let's click OK. Revit will ask if we want to save this. This time I will. Click on yes. And just type in E size. And OK. You can print if you want, or you can hit close. I'm not going to print, so I'm just going to hit close. So that's all there is to printing. I'll tell you what, having that batch plot function built right in is trying to make it really tough to go back to AutoCAD. Let's go to the View tab. On the Create panel, let's click the Schedule drop down. Let's go to Schedule Quantities. I want to scroll down to Mechanical Equipment. Let's click OK. Let's bring in Family and Type. Let's bring in Mark. Let's go ahead and bring in type mark. Also, we'll bring in type comments. Let's click OK. So here we have it. Here's all the mechanical equipment in our model. Let's start changing some information. First thing I want to do is our VAV. Let's give it a mark. It's also going to be VAV-1. Hit enter. Now what you can see is, now that we've done this, this actually enters the information into that VAV. We can enter information either by selecting it in the model and going to the properties, or we can make a schedule and change the information right here. For type comments, let's type in first floor, hit return. Click OK. And we have it. Let's sort this a little better. Let's go to sorting and grouping. Click on edit. Let's sort by family and type. Let's add a blank line. Click OK. This sorts it by family and type. Our fire department and light connection automatically numbered itself to PU3. Let's call it FD1, all caps, and hit enter. That will change the mark for our fire department and light connection three-way valve. Go ahead and close out the schedule dropdown. Let's go to schedule quantities. This time let's scroll down to pipe. Let's hit OK. We're going to jump around a little bit. Let's scroll down to type. Add. Let's go up to count. Add. Grab diameter while we're here. Add that. Of course, we're going to want length. Add length. And finally, let's grab the material and add that. Select count and click the move down button. So it gets to the end. Let's hit OK and see what we've got. Here's all of our pipes. Here's the size. Here's the length. Here's the material. And here's the count. We can probably sort this a little bit better. Let's go to sorting and grouping. Let's sort by type. This time let's add a footer. And we'll add grand totals. Click OK and let's see what that gives us. Perfect. Now we can see all of our different pipes, the sizes, and the length. Let's keep going. Let's go back to sorting and grouping and click edit. Sorting by, let's sort by diameter. Okay. So now we're going to sort it by diameter. Let's again go back to sorting and grouping. Let's add a footer to this as well. Title, count, and totals. And click OK. Now it's really chopping it up. Let's keep going. This time let's go to formatting. Click on edit for formatting. Select length. And let's calculate totals. Let's click OK. This is our overall length of chilled water pipe, 1/2 inch. Let's go to formatting again. Let's go to count. Let's calculate totals and click OK. Now we're really starting to break it down. Let's do one last thing. What I want to do is combine some of these. First thing I do is rename pipe schedule. So instead of pipe schedule, let's just say pipe length schedule. And hit enter. This will change that name in the project browser. Next thing I want to do is group these headers. So click in the material and hold down your pick button and swipe over these three. Click the group button. Click in the here and let's just call it size and length. And then click off of it. Next thing I'd like to do is see how these look on a sheet. Close out of the schedule. Let's scroll down to Sheets All. Let's make a new sheet. Right-click Sheets All, click the new sheet, and click OK. Scroll up to Schedules, Quantities. Let's drag Mechanical Equipment Schedule in. Let's drag Pipe Length Schedule in. Pipe Length Schedule is pretty big. It's okay. We'll try to fix it. First, we can select the schedule, and we can slide the cells in and out. But what we can also do is break the schedule. If you go to the middle of it, go ahead and click on this little zigzag line here. That's the split schedule. Now it fits. You can go ahead, select the schedule, and slide some of the cells over so they fit. Go ahead and right-click on the schedule. Let's go to Edit Schedule. Let's go down to Appearance. For total text, hit the drop-down. Let's go to 332nd Arial. Do the same for the header. Let's do the same for the body. Let's hit OK. Let's go back to our sheet, FP501 unnamed. Notice how much smaller that made it. Now that we don't need this extra category, we can select it, click the Move button, and slide it back in, and combine it back into the other schedule. So, start thinking about migrating your old AutoCAD schedules into Revit. You really only have to do this once. To get started, let's make sure we're in HVAC, floor plans, 1 Mac. What we need to do is think about phasing. The first thing I'd like to do is introduce a new phase to Revit. If you go to the Manage tab, you can click on Phases over here. Revit comes with 2 phases, existing and new construction. What I want to do is insert a phase between existing and new construction. So click Insert After. For the second phase, let's call it Demolition. Let's click Apply. Let's click OK. Now, if we look at a view, we'll understand that it has a phase associated with it. Scroll down to Properties and see our phasing. Our phase filter will be set to Show All, and our phase will be New Construction. What that means is anything that was put in this phase that was existing and hasn't been demolished will show up. Anything that's put in this phase that's brand new will show up. So what we want to do is we want to start controlling phases. We're going to make a separate plan called Demolition. On the HVAC floor plans, right-click on 1 Mac, duplicate view. Let's duplicate with detailing this time. Let's right-click on Copy of 1 Mac. Let's rename it. Let's call it 1 Mac hyphen Demolition. Let's click OK. Now what I want to do is I want to zoom in to this area right here. And I want to pick a window on all of these items. In the Properties, under Phase Created, click the drop-down and go to Existing and hit Apply. What I'd like to do is pick a window around these items right here. Hold down the Control key and select this duct right here. We said Phase Created is existing. Phase Demolished is set for none. Now for Phase Demolished, what I'd like to do is click this drop-down and go to Demolition and hit Apply. We need to disconnect some of our elements. That's fine. Click Disconnect. What's going to happen is they're going to disappear. Although we're in the Phase 1 Mac Demolition, they're gone. Why is that? Because of the fact that our actual view is not set up to show demolition. It's set up for new construction. So basically, this stuff was demolished in the past. So if we're looking at new construction, we shouldn't be showing those items. So for phasing under Phase, click the drop-down. Let's go to Demolition and click Apply. So what we'll see, this video is going to go through the basics of adding text to a model and to a drafting view. So let's just get started. To begin, let's go to HVAC, Floor Plan, 1 Mac Demolition. I'm going to zoom in on this area here, where we have some demo items and we have some existing to remain. Let's go ahead and add some text. We can't just tag what we want to say right here, so we need some descriptive words. On the Quick Access toolbar, click the Text button right here. For the Format panel, let's click the 2 segments button. I'm going to pick a point right here, then right here, then right here. I'm going to type in the word, all caps, disconnect, and I'm going to click off of it. Select the text, click on Edit Type. For the leader arrowhead, instead of arrow, 30 degree, hit the drop down. Let's go arrow filled 15 degree. While we're at it, flat text, let's change the width factor to 0.8. Let's keep the background opaque. That way, we can't see any of the stuff behind it. Click Apply. Click OK. Escape a couple times. Now, let's select the text. Let's just move it down to here. On the Format panel, let's click Remove Last Leader. Now, let's add a left side straight leader. Let's point up to that same area. Let's add a little elbow. Let's add another left side straight leader. Let's bring it up to this area. Let's add another. Let's point to our diffuser. Escape a couple times. That's how we put text into a model. Next, let's go to our drafting view. If we scroll to Mechanical, Drafting Views, let's go to Curb Detail. Let's zoom in on this area. Click our text button. Make sure it's 3/32 Arial. Let's pick a blending point. And our two shoulder points. Let's type in bolts by others. Return and put VIF period and click off of it. Hit escape a couple times. Zoom out. That's how we do text. The cool thing is, all we need to know is it wants to be 3/32 of an inch. The scale of the view dictates the size of the text based on that 3/32 of an inch. So we no longer have to worry about scaling. Remember, text doesn't replace a tag, it simply accompanies them. A bit more than that. We're going to use dimensions as both a means to communicate to the person reading our prints and as a way to lay out geometry. So to get started, let's make sure we're in Sprinkler, Floor Plans, Callout of one sprinkler. Let's get started. Let's zoom in on this big pipe coming into our building. Suppose we want to tell them what the distance is from here to the inside face of this wall. On the Annotate tab, click the Align Dimension button. In the Options properties, let's go Wall Faces. Let's scroll down to this wall and pick it. Notice when we hover over our pipe, it gives us a center line. Go ahead and come up to the center line and pick it. Let's replace with text. Let's call it 2 foot - 6 inches. Hit OK. Invalid. Revit won't let you do it. To change dimension value for length or angle of a segment, select the element the dimension refers to, then click the value to edit it. So what this means is Revit's not going to let us have an inaccurate dimension in our model. That's a good thing. Click the Cancel button. Hit Escape a couple times. Now, as they said, to change this increment, we need to select the item that's being dimensioned. Notice now this turns blue again. Now go ahead and click on the text, and we get a different dialog. Now let's go to space 6 and hit Enter. It moves our entire pipe up 2 foot 6 off of that wall to the center line. Hit Escape a couple times. Let's add another dimension, shall we? This time I want to dimension these pipes out. On the Annotate tab, click the Align Dimension. This time I want to click the center line of this pipe, then keep going, click the center line of this pipe, and the center line of this pipe. Zoom out, and to finish dimension, come outside of the building and pick a point right about here. With the dimension still selected, we have a little EQ icon with a red line going through it. Click the icon. It's going to equally space our pipes. Hit Escape a couple times. This is how we dimension. On the Annotate panel, click the Dimension drop-down. Notice that we can set up different dimension types for all of our different dimensions. Go ahead and select your dimension that you have in the model. This is a linear dimension. Click on Edit Type. We can change some items. But what's the difference between changing something here and changing it to Edit Type? Hit Cancel and I'll explain it. If we select any item on our screen, and if we make a change in the Properties dialog right here, this change is only going to reflect the item we have selected. This is not just true for dimensions, it's true for any object in Revit. For example, if we don't want to equally display the text, we're going to put a value in here and hit Apply. It only changes that dimension. Now if we go to Edit Type, now we can change a bunch of things. We can come down to tick mark, and instead of diagonal 1/8, we can change it to anything we want. We can change it to arrow fill 15 degree. Scroll down to text. Let's set our width factor to be 0.8. Hit Apply, and hit OK. Click off of it. We'll change all of our dimension types. Now, let's go up to this dimension. Notice that they're kind of bleeding into one another. Select your dimension string. Notice you have a grip sitting right here. Go ahead and pick it to bring your text out. Pick this one and bring your text out. Click off of it. Now hit escape a couple times. Notice that we can control how our dimensions look. So, in summary, dimensions are used for two different things. One, to tell the person how to build something. Two, to actually help you lay your model out. In this video, we're going to explore how to create a drafting view from scratch and start using our annotation tools to create a detail. Revit does have a pretty nice library of 2D detail components to choose from, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is create a drafting view. Go to the View tab. On the Create panel, click the Drafting View button. For the name, in all caps, let's call it Curb Detail. We can keep the scale at 1.5 inches equals a foot. We can always go back and change it later. Click OK. Now here we are with a blank slate. The next thing we need to do is go to the Annotate tab. On the Annotate tab, you're going to find all of our detailing tools. Let's just start drawing some lines. On the Detail panel, click the Detail Line button. On the Line Style panel, notice that we have a drop-down. Medium lines, MEP hidden, thin, and wide. Let's click wide. Let's click the rectangle button. Let's just draw a rectangle about 2 feet high and about 10 feet long. Then hit escape a couple times. Zoom in on your detail. See, we have a rectangle, just like CAD. Right click on the leftmost line and create similar. This time instead of wide lines, let's go with thin lines. On the Draw panel, click your Pick Lines button. Let's give it an offset of 6 inches. Let's repeat that down here. Let's hit escape a couple times. Right-click on the bottommost line and create similar. On the Draw panel, click your Pick Lines button. Let's switch to thin lines. Let's offset it 6 inches. Let's offset a line up. Notice that when we come into this line, you can see an alignment line that shows up. When I hover over this line and you see your alignment line going straight up, that's where your next line is going to be. Go ahead and pick the slide going straight up. Hit escape a couple times. Go to the Modify tab. On the Modify panel, click the Trim Extend to Corner button. We want to clean up this corner and this corner. To do that, we're going to select the lines that we want to keep. So pick this line, and then this line, and then this line, and then hit escape a couple times. Next thing we're going to do is zoom in on this area here. And offset the hidden line in. So to get started, let's go to our sprinkler, floor plan, one sprinkler. Let's go out in this other building that we haven't touched yet. Let's just draw some pipes in. On the System tab, select Pipe, put Type Sprinkler, diameter 6 inch. Let's offset it at 2'4". Let's change our detail level to Fine. I'm going to draw a pipe right about here to here. I don't care how long it is. Let's draw another one over here. Hit escape. Now, suppose we wanted to connect these. Let's add another level of complicity. Go ahead and select the pipe in the middle. Let's give that an offset of 9 feet. So how do we connect these pipes at different elevations and different angles? Simply go to the Modify tab and click the Trim Extend to Corner button. Repeat the procedure for the bottom. It trims it up. Hit escape a couple times. Let's go to a 3D view. Since we're only zoomed in on this area, let's go to the Properties. Uncheck Section Box. This gives us our entire building deck. Notice what we've done in this area. By using a simple Modify command, we've been able to actually trim, extend, put a drop pipe in, add our fittings, all just with the 2D edit move. On your keyboard, hit Control Tab, hit escape a couple times. Go ahead and select your pipe. Let's create similar. Pick a point here. Let's come out about 6 feet. Let's come down about 12 feet. Let's come in. Now, what we can do here, go ahead and select the middle pipe and delete it. Click each of your fittings and turn them into elbows by clicking the minus sign. On the Modify tab, I want to find the Offset button. Go ahead and click Offset. Let's offset everything 2 feet. Let's uncheck Copy. Go ahead and offset this fitting, this fitting, this fitting. Notice that the Offset command will physically move our pipes over. We don't necessarily need to make a copy. Escape a couple times. Right-click on this pipe here and create similar. Draw it at approximately the same angle at whatever distance, and hit Escape. On the Modified panel, click the Trim Extend Single Element. The trick here is to pick the element you want to extend to, and pick the element that you want to be extended. So we want to extend to this pipe, so we pick it first. We want to extend this object, so we're going to pick it second. It's going to extend it in, it's going to put the fitting in there for us. We can do the same thing down here. We can extend that pipe in. Not only does it extend it to it, but it gives us the fitting, gives us the drop, and it gives us the yin-yang sign. Not too bad for just 2D modifications. One last thing I'd like to look at is the array command. Let's hit Escape a couple times. Let's zoom in on this pipe right here. Suppose we want it copied up 4 or 5 times. Select the pipe. On the Modified panel, click the Array button. Let's make sure that Linear Array is selected. We'll group and associate. Let's put a number in of 4. Now, there's one of two things we could do. We could move it to the second point, which would mean I'd pick a point here, and I'd specify an increment up to here. It'll create 4 pipes at that distance. If I move it to last, I'm going to pick a point here, I'm going to pick a point way up here, that's going to equally space 4 pipes together. Let's move it to last. In addition, move to is bad phrasing. It doesn't really move anything. It just makes a copy of the first pipe. So we have 4 pipes. We're going to move to last. I'm going to pick this end point as a base point. I'm going to come up here about 10 feet. I'm going to pick the second point. I'm going to hit Escape a couple times. Now what happens is when you hover over, it's actually grouped and associated. So that means that if I pick any one of these pipes, I can hover over this and make like 6. So Revit remembers the actual settings that it has. You can still draft in Revit even on your modeling. You're just going to have to get used to getting a lot more accomplished. To get started, let's scroll down to Sheets All. Let's go to Floor Plan 1, FP101, Sprinkler Plan. Let's go to the View tab. Let's click on the Revisions button. And so we have one revision in here. Let's give it a date. Let's call it 08-29-2013. For the description, we'll call it Oops. Let's add another one. Let's call it 8-30-2013. We can just keep that as revision 2. Click Apply, and then click OK. It doesn't seem like we've done much, but we've set the stage to start revising some items. For example, if we scroll on the pipe that goes to nowhere, that's probably a revision. On the Annotate tab, go ahead and select the Revision Cloud button. I'm going to pick a point, and I'm going to start picking other points to fill in my cloud. I'm going to go right around these pipes that lead to nowhere. I'm going to come up to my last one and let it automatically close. On my Mode panel, I'm going to click on Finish Edit Mode. Now I have a revision. Click your Tag by Category button on your Quick Access toolbar. Hover over the cloud and pick it. Unfortunately, there's no revision tag loaded into this model. That's okay, let's go find one. Yes. Let's go to Annotations. Let's scroll down till we find Revisions. Click open. Now I can tag it. Pick a point, and revision 2 is in there. Holding the control key, select both bolts. On your modify panel, click the near draw axis button. Click the midpoint of this line. Move your cursor straight up and pick the second point. Escape a couple times. You successfully mirrored your bolts to the other side. One last thing we're going to do is trim out this line in the middle. On the Modify tab, click the Split Element button. On the Options toolbar, click on Delete Inner Segment. Zoom into this side and hover over the horizontal line and pick it. Zoom into this side, hover over the horizontal line and pick it. And escape a couple times. Now you see that you can separate yourself from the model and just simply draft. Remember though, this is only for typical details and drafting of that nature. It does not replace actual sections of the model. Now is the proper line weight and line type for demo. The proper line weight and line type for your construction. Now what I'd like to do is go back to floor plan 1 mech. Let's zoom in on the same area. This is set for new construction. Now we're free to model whatever we want in this area. We have a separate demolition plan. We have a separate new construction plan. To see how Revit controls these line weights, let's click on the Phases button again on the Manage tab. Let's click the Graphic Overrides. We have Existing, Demolished, New, Temporary. I think Existing is a little light, so I'm going to click on the lines here. In my color, I'm going to bump it up a little darker. I'll go 98. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit OK. When I cut lines, I'm also going to go to a 98. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit OK. Let's show up a little darker. Now we'll see how the overrides occur. We have existing, demolished, new, and then temporary. What temporary indicates is, if I create an item on the demo phase and demolish it on the demo phase, that's considered temporary because it was built in the same phase that it's going to be demolished. Revit understands that and will give it a completely new line weight. Click Apply, then OK. Notice our existing to remain is showing up a little bit better now. Go to 1 mech demolition, and that's a little bit better. Phasing is so much better than finding just that right layer that only your company knows about. Pick a base point and copy it down about a foot. Hit escape a couple times. Swing back out.